Billy Joel and Bullseye. What more could you ask for? Yeah, we're talking about episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again, season 2, right now on Friends from Work.
Welcome back to another episode of Friends from Work, a podcast about all things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, hosted by myself, Kyle Skundle, and my longtime friend from work, Robbie Earl, with that incredible intro. It's just like, it's so foreign to you. Like, you're so good at writing the hook, but the actual delivery makes you so stressed. So the second you started, it caught me so off guard. I was laughing so hard, but it's so good. You just got to be confident in it, confident in the delivery.
Here's the thing. You know me well enough. Like if there is a musical artist that has like defined my life, it is Billy Joel. I was raised on Billy Joel. My mom listened to him all the time. I obviously play piano and sing, and so there's a little bit of that. And then Daredevil is my favorite Marvel character under only Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So this is a real treat for me this week.
This is a real treat. Doesn't get much better. And, you know, I'm coming at you live from Hell's Kitchen. No joke.
Yeah, you are.
A hotel in Hell's Kitchen. It always sounds cool until I get out here and realize that it makes my life so much more stressful trying to put this all together from a hotel room.
How is I feel like I haven't really spent time in Hell's Kitchen any of the times I've been to New York. My understanding is it is very much not the like grim place of the Frank Miller 80s comics.
So here's my thing.
What's your experience?
I love cities, and I love this city. I get a lot of energy from cities for some reason. It's just the way I'm wired. A lot of people like to go hiking or camping. I kind of like visiting the big city. So there's always just an excitement no matter what. Just walking around. Like today after work, I immediately walked to a pizza shop, got 2 slices, picked up some Ben & Jerry's, came back to my hotel and watched this episode of Daredevil, just crushing. But there's something fun even just about being forced to walk everywhere, and it was a beautiful day. It's not as grim. I don't think Hell's Kitchen is like the super, super ritzy, rich part of Manhattan, but it's not like I don't feel unsafe walking around at night or anything. It's so close to Central Park, which is so nice. So I think that's kind of spilled over. But I'm not a New York historian. It seems pretty nice, but I don't think it's like the financial district. Am I correct in that? Or I think the Upper East Side maybe, or Upper West Side maybe is nicer.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, it's funny. I think we talked about this with Chip Zdarsky when he was on, but or I did offline. But it's sort of a strange thing where, you know, like Batman and Gotham. Gotham is a fictional city, so it can be whatever you need it to be. Like it is stuck as this. So it's like, oh, Gotham, yeah, it's crime ridden always. Like no matter what's happening. Sure. Everyone is just getting murdered all the time.
Yeah.
But like, you know, in the 80s when Frank Miller was kind of defining a lot of the Daredevil tropes, New York was going through a really rough period. And it was like the crime rates were at an all-time high. And there were, I think, some of the like trash, like pickup strikes then. So you just had like, it was dirty and violent and whatever. But that's just not really
I wouldn't say that's the case now. No.
So
at least not from CBS Studios.
Right. So like, but you still have to have Daredevil that's out there like, you know, fighting to keep the kitchen safe.
Yeah.
So it's a funny dynamic.
My main experience of New York City is that and the Spider-Man video game. And even when things are going well in the Spider-Man video game, every 100 feet, there's like a carjacking that has guys shooting out the window that you have to like smash a car to stop it. And I got here and I'm like, I'm not seeing any of that. What's Spider-Man doing? Or maybe he's doing such a good job.
That's the thing. He's doing such a good job.
Yeah,
he's getting the key to the city.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm always struck by how many like rooftop crimes happen.
Let's
in
meet on
Spider-Man's
the rooftops
New York
and do some drugs.
Like, there are like 10 people on the roof, and I'm like, how did you all get up here?
Is it easy to have roof access? I've always wondered that. Like even Daredevil and Punisher, like do people just have a door to the roof of all these skyscrapers?
It does feel like if you have an alternate like secret identity, it feels clutch.
Meet on the roof, no doubt. I was actually going through the buildings looking at them, and I was like, if Spider-Man was swinging through that one, do you think I'd be able to pick up on who that was? Like, is that high enough that, would he have to go out at night? Anyways.
There is a moment in the, I think in the 60s, whenever Peter first goes to college, where he like moves into you kind of got this from the Spider-Man Blue comic that we read, when he moves in with Harry. Mm-hmm. And they do talk about how it's like specifically nice because he has the, like, I think it's like a skylight or something that he can easily get in and out of. And so it makes it nice for Spider-Man things. So they do,
Yeah, there's always
it's something
like
he considers in looking at real estate.
There's always like those rooftop hatches or lights or something that you can just bend back and then jump down in, including Daredevil and She-Hulk, same kind of thing. Okay, let's get into our first impressions. Here we go. First impressions of Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 4.
What do you think?
I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
It was everything for everyone.
Yes, I think it works.
Shout out to our friend Ethan for making these incredible transitions. Like I said, we're always working on them. We're cooking things here. Okay. This ain't no hobby. All right. This ain't no hobby.
No.
Actually, it literally is. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have two things I want to say, and then we can get into what worked and what didn't work. I don't want to start every episode by saying, oh, Marvel's cooking, we're getting there. So just know that that's kind of going to be over from me. I'm going to say that I think that now we are officially approaching WandaVision Loki Season 2 territory. This is probably, so far through 4 episodes, up there with the best television they've ever made. So that's the last time I'm going to say it. I'm just going to assume that it's going to keep ascending. But from a quality standpoint, just spectacular. Yeah. Obviously, we got to start by talking about the ending. I can't believe how gripped I was to the television, and I did not think a Vanessa death was coming mid-season. Spoilers, obviously. Holy cow. And she dies in Fogwell's gym?
Man. Also, there's so much to unpack there. Like the return of Fogwell's gym, I love. And like all of the kind of Netflix Kid Matt flashbacks we got and stuff. But yeah, the Vanessa death, that was done so well.
You thought Fisk actually stopped it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, well, and when he was throwing it, it's like that. The thing about Bullseye is
he's throwing an actual plaque of Fisk's head, which is so incredible.
And that like there's he never misses, but then sometimes you wonder like, well, if he's like, is he somehow in his crazy brain like accounting for the potential of someone blocking it, and even then like trajectory or accounting for that trajectory, which is insane and doesn't make any sense, but we're living in like comic book world. And so it happened, and I was like, oh, is that still going to like hit Vanessa? Because obviously that's the thing, like those are the stakes that like Wilson's been trying to avoid here. And then they did such a good job of not showing her, like they focus on Daredevil. And so I just assumed that, like it was fine, like everyone's fine. And then like,
it was delayed.
Oh man, the turn.
So on that note, really quick, really nitty gritty, I feel like Bullseye never misses, but it's clear he can be blocked, right? Like even when he's fighting Daredevil, his throw might have been accurate, but Daredevil can catch it or stop it or block it or move. So I don't think he's thinking that far in advance. I think he threw it to kill Vanessa. Fisk did block it, but in some weird irony, he almost now played an even larger role in her death because he shattered it. Kind of.
But here's the thing though, like to your point, did he do it to kill Vanessa or did he do it to kill Fisk, who then blocked it, which caused it to kill Vanessa?
Who was he throwing it at? I watched it one
I don't
time.
know.
I thought he was throwing it at Vanessa, but
I mean, I think he
wants them
like
both
sees
dead.
Vanessa. Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems. I mean, I think he has a grudge against both of them, rightly. But I think that there is a sort of a heightened Shakespearean tragedy if Fisk, in like successfully blocking the attack, is actually the reason that Vanessa dies.
Also,
And-
it just really speeds up the pace of the show, which is already fast. Because
Well,
I
and
thought
like-
that feels to me like almost a finale. Like Vanessa dies, and then now how is Fisk going to react? We still
Well,
have half the season to go with his reaction now, which is
Well,
going to be way over
we
the top.
just had that like scene with her and the governor, where the governor is basically like, "I'm only gonna back him because of you."
But does this now almost like make her double down on that because she trusted Vanessa and Vanessa trusted Fisk, and this proves the vigilantes are crazy? You know, so maybe the governor now is on Fisk's side in this.
Yeah,
Because the person she just agreed
Yeah.
to do this with died from a vigilante.
Although, I mean, the like Fisk is. I think what we'll see from Fisk is going to be like him at his most
Yeah.
terrifying. So, like, I wonder how much patience he has for politics.
Maybe
this point.
this could be what leads to him. This is the catalyst to him stepping away.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I was watching this thinking, like the Daredevil comic, like Devil's Reign, that I've thought about a lot. That they're clearly adapting to some degree. It ends with him kind of going off into the sunset with a different character that he's, I think, married to at the time. But it's because like the Vanessa relationship over the years, like since she was introduced in the 60s, they've been like divorced and she's died and maybe come back because it's comics. But I was sitting there thinking like, man, what's really nice is they have spent so much time cultivating this relationship between them. They've done a really good job of showing how like Vanessa is the most, like the only thing that matters to him aside from just like power
And control. Yeah.
and so they've really created like whatever he does, you can imagine him doing it for Vanessa, so he or doing something so he can do it with Vanessa, and it feels earned because of that. And so it like for me, I mean, that was like 10 minutes before that scene where I was just thinking, man, I'm really glad that we have Vanessa back in the season, that their relationship has been such a focal point, because I think that that's really important to the version of Fisk that they've created. And then it was such a like rug pull out moment. Do you think she's for sure dead?
I don't think she's for sure dead. I do think they will kill her, but there's totally a world where the next episode, kind of like Cherry, is her rushing into an ambulance and there's still a heartbeat, there's still a pulse. We got to do surgery. You know, that's totally possible. I feel like at this point, remember what I said last week? Actually, I don't even know if I said this on the podcast. I maybe just said this to my wife, because my wife and I, Annika and I, have been really enjoying watching this show. And I mean this in the best possible way. Fisk is one of the best villains they've ever had. And he's so good. It's such a perfect foil to Matt. But I think I've mentioned, like, at some point, is there a world for Daredevil and Matt without Fisk? At some point, we have to move off the same kind of storyline.
Right.
I think if season 3 is Fisk's in power and Matt can't keep up, I will be kind of disappointed almost, because we've had literally 50 hours of that being kind of the main plot. And so this does feel like a step, like killing her actually feels like a step towards kind of changing that status quo. So I would be really on board with her actually dying and seeing how that affects the dynamic more than she was saved and now she's just mad at Bullseye or Fisk or whatever. I did have a question about Vanessa in general.
Yeah.
Did you interpret any weirdness in that scene? I didn't fully understand if there were layers to what they were trying to show me. Obviously, I know what they were practically
The scene with
showing
her
me.
and the governor.
And then the end of the whole episode. I know what they're practically trying to show me, right? But she goes to the governor, but she has this conversation with Fisk that she doesn't want to go. She feels like she shouldn't miss it. Now, is
Yeah.
that just because she's like, I want to be at the fight, or I just want to be seen with you? Like, why is it so bad that she's missing this fight is, I guess, my first question. Let me finish the whole thing. Then she has this discussion with the governor. It goes well, and she kind of has some smiles that I can't tell. I couldn't almost tell if she was like manipulating the governor or kind of almost agreeing with the governor at times about like, I don't know that I do need Fisk. I don't need Wilson. Like there was a little bit of pushback that I couldn't tell if she was trying to just kind of get in. Then she shows back up and there's this big, like long smile as she's walking, almost like I know something you don't know. More than just I'm back at the ring. Again, it could just be literally that's how they wanted to, act it. And then she gets up there and says, kiss me. He's like, you shouldn't be here because he knows what's about to go down. He's kind of setting this trap. Does she know what's about to go down? Because then she's like, no, kiss me anyways, kiss me anyways. And I don't know if she wants to be seen being kissed or whatever. Then it all goes down. I just felt like there was something a little bit off, but maybe that's just how they were choosing to act it.
I felt like it was all, it was channeling like the idea that she was running the empire apart from Fisk. And also that like prior to her relationship with Fisk, she was this kind of like high society art dealer in that you can imagine her being like persuasive, like smooth talking, like knows how to get her way and make a lot of money kind of person. And so I felt like that conversation with the governor was her sort of being satisfied that the governor recognizes that in her and kind of like leaning into the, like, on the one hand, like she sees that the governor recognizes the kind of political prowess that she has. But I also feel like there's like under that, this sort of satisfaction that the governor doesn't know that she is like very much a criminal also. But like she's not like the one that's going to keep Wilson in check. She is the one that, like in season 1, was kind of pushing Wilson to be like more aggressive in some ways. So I feel like there's this kind of like smugness there that I picked up. But then I think like when she shows up to the ring, it's kind of an extension of that. It's like a flaunting, like, I think she doesn't like the idea that Fisk thinks he has to protect her. And I think she wants to be as much in it as he is. So I think that kind of like wearing white in the same way that like he wears the white suit and being in the ring the same way that he is, and following up on that conversation with the governor where it's like, I will back like Mr. and Mrs. Fisk. And
so even there, like, a little bit of a power play.
I think so.
A control thing. I think so too.
Like not against him, like no. I don't think that it's like a bitterness thing, but I think it's sort of a like, yeah, like I'm not, like you don't necessarily get to dictate the role that I play in this. Like we are kind of equal shareholders. And
do you think she was totally oblivious to Bullseye showing up? Or I mean, she was kind of accepting it because she's dreading it so much?
I don't know. Like, I feel like she can't have been totally oblivious because we got the sort of foreshadowing of her getting the gun in the first place and talking with Buck about it. I mean,
maybe it's her facing her fears because she'd been haunted by it. This was just an acceptance of this is going to happen, but maybe we can get out of it.
Or like hubris, like I don't know. Like maybe it was she thought that, if Wilson was going to be okay, then she would also be okay. And she's surrounded by all these agents, but I don't know. Like it is an interesting, like it feels like a power play, but it doesn't feel like suicidal. Like I don't think she went.
No, I don't think so either.
Knowing that was going to happen.
The ramifications of it though are going to be absolutely massive because on one hand, I think Fisk is about to go off the rails, unhinged. Yeah. Like that was his only moral compass. And it was a tiny moral compass, but there was a tiny one in there, totally gone. But also I could totally see him blaming politics and the system for part of the reason why they are here in the first place, like why she died. Like it was partially the public platform and him doing this charade, like maybe even a little bit of guilt for him setting this up. Like he was trying to manipulate the situation and use himself as bait, despite like Buck saying he didn't want that to happen. And that ended up getting her killed. Like he couldn't control it. So there's a lot of things that didn't go his way now.
It's very Spider-Man 2. Like Rosie getting her like cut by the glass shards, where it's like his experiment. She's the one that like he loses the person that matters to her, and that like drives him into further insanity. And I feel like you're right. Like whether or not he's actually responsible, which he is to some degree responsible, like for the glass shard sticking into her head, both because he created the entire situation, but also literally, he blocked it. And that's where you have like the legal side. You have like causation and proximate cause, because there are different versions of causation.
Right.
And I can get into that because this is the legal show. But,
all right, well, let's give you some friendly feedback then after a quick word from these sponsors.
I'm very happy right now.
One more word. Please give me one.
Woo!
A little over the top, don't you think? I thought it was spot on.
So good. What worked and what didn't work, brought to you by Panelbound Comics, our friend at Panelbound Comics. Go to panelboundcomics.com and use the promo code Friends from Work to get all of this Daredevil stuff. And we see you out there. I'm seeing the sales. I see you out there using the promo code. I saw someone buy something on our code for $321 yesterday. Was that you?
No, could have been, could have easily been. The only thing is I was just looking at my shelf, and I have now collected in hardcover every issue of Daredevil since 1998. So I don't have any more Daredevil stuff to buy.
Attaboy.
But everyone else out there, you got to get to work.
Friends from Work is the promo code at panelboundcomics.com. They've been the best sponsor of this show. Where do you want to start? Want to do the rapid fire thing real quick? A couple rapid fire things, or do you have a bigger picture? You have a big picture. Let's go.
No, I want to do rapid fire, but I know where I want to start.
Okay, go ahead. You start.
Man, I mean, that cold open was just incredible. And the thing about it is I watched the little like whatever trailer preview thing that circulated a couple days before. And I had thought, as soon as I saw the episode open up, I was like, I've kind of seen a bit of this, and I thought that it would lessen the impact, and it just didn't at all, because the pacing of it, like, again, the Billy Joel song placement was so perfect, with like the way, like all the performances there, but this version of Poindexter is
it's
so
probably
good.
better. It's better, I think.
Oh man, it's better. And it's like, but it builds, right? Like I like that it feels like a natural evolution. Like season 3 was like his kind of more, grounded version. And then now we see him getting progressively more unhinged.
But I love that he thinks he can become a good guy with one act. Like, I can be right back.
But I also love, like, this show has done such a good job of making you hate the anti-vigilante task force cops. And they've really differentiated, like, the real cops, like the classic career cops, from these, like, Fisk cops. And there's this level where, like, when he starts picking them off in the diner, you almost root for him.
That's a thing. What at the end of episode 3, when they're killing all the cops, my wife, who's so anti-violence, was going like this. Come on. She fist pumped me. She fist pounded me a couple times during the episodes. Like when she was sitting on the other side of the couch. We weren't sitting next to each other. And when Angelo showed up, she was like, come on. Let's go. It was so funny. So my point is, it's done such a good job of, you hate these guys. So you're kind of like, both sides doing us a favor a little bit. It's Karen talking about Frank, right? It's like, well, it's efficient. We can just kill them all.
Yeah. No, and I think that's like it's interesting seeing Matt interact with that because like, you know, he's got the kill code and we can talk about that in like the context of some of the Karen conversations and stuff too. But here especially, it's like these are guys that are like, it's not even the same thing as criminals that Matt is leaving alive, which was the kind of Matt Frank debate from season 2. It's in a way worse than that because it's criminals, but they have like the full authority of the law and more. Like they're not subject to any checks. So you do have this sense of like, kind of frustration with Matt because it's like they are not playing by any rules.
Right. It's crazy that, okay, I get that Matt won't cross the line, but you could just let Bullseye cross the line.
Right.
Then you didn't do it. Just
Right.
don't show up at that, at the boxing match and all your problems might go away and you didn't have to do it. He literally saved Fisk's life again. Well, in this case, he saved Bullseye's life by hitting the gun out of his hand.
And that's another thing that like you have to imagine Fisk is going to remember that he saved Bullseye's life, but he didn't save Vanessa's. And I think it's important that Matt like continues to hold that line. But I mean, I loved everything about like the way that scene was shot. Like it was just, you're right. Like that was one of those like, oh, this feels like both like prestige television and also, again, it feels like they have found a way to channel the best parts of like the Daredevil comics while still making it prestige television. And I think that that's a really, really difficult thing to do, as we saw in the Netflix series. Like it's really hard to nail that exact balance. And like right now at this point in season 2, they are doing that.
It's prestige, isn't it? It's the only show in a long time that, like I said, I'm texting my friends going, hey, if you're not watching this, like, are you guys watching Daredevil? Like, Chris, do you want to come over for Daredevil tonight? Like, I've never done that, but he liked the Netflix show. And so it's one thing we can connect on. It's just
if this had dropped all at once, I would have flown through it. Like,
but the week to week is so fun, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Fun. Like I love it because now and the way that they're ending on these cliffhangers, and you're right. Like
people are talking about it.
Yeah, I have not been super involved in the online discourse for this stuff, but man, I just don't know how you could want more from a Daredevil show than what we were getting currently. And maybe the season ends in a way that we're disappointed in. Like, I don't know. But right now, like this feels like exactly what people would have wanted, in like 2003 when they found out there was like a Daredevil movie. Like it's
yeah. I find myself having grace for, in fact, we actually got a comment on Spotify for the faction of people that say, man, it's really good, but my wife won't ever watch this. And it's just a little bit of a bummer that it's a little too violent. It's a little dark for me to get into. I have total grace. That makes sense. Like it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's a pretty intense show and politically really heavy handed, even though I don't think they even tried to necessarily, but
dude, I know.
So there's a lot of like real life. It's not a very good escapist type show. So I understand that perspective. What I don't have a lot of grace for is anybody who is like a massive fan of Daredevil as a character and read the comics or watched the Netflix shows and now would for some reason choose that this is not good or not to like this. That to me, it's like, okay, I think you're just choosing to be negative at this point. What more could you want from a Daredevil show? It's just, I'll follow up on that actually in our From a Friend segment here in a second.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I also think it's so interesting. I hear that comment from folks like about how it feels like on the nose. And we talked about this some in season 1 because it came out like a couple of months after the 2024 elections. And it's weird because like, I mean, they're adapting comics, like that have existed. And granted, like part of what Charles Soule was doing was a reaction to the politics of like 2017. But like a lot of the stuff that feels like it's mapping on to now specifically, I think that's just like
was written a long time ago. Not to mention they filmed it kind of before it was hot button in real life.
Yeah, I mean but it's so I don't like the idea that people view it as being like reactionary, because I truly don't think that they are attempting to be
that's right
like of the moment in some way.
That's right.
But I do think it's really nice to see, like when we talk about Marvel being the world outside your window, like in the 60s, Stan Lee wrote a lot of comics about like Vietnam, like he would have the characters deal with this stuff that's happening. And it's not as though he was taking firm positions, saying like we are for anti or whatever, but he's dealing with it because that's what's happening. So I do think it's kind of nice to see it like makes, I think it reinforces the best part of Marvel, which is like you do need to have that level of reflection there. And I think part of what has made the post-Endgame stuff more challenging on that front is that the ramifications of having half of the population blipped away and everyone know about Thanos is just like you are losing that relatability, because the people that inhabit the 616 universe have now dealt with like things on a scale that are so far beyond our experience that it's hard to even view them as analogs. But I think it takes a show like this to essentially just like ignore all that again and bring it back down to like the ground level, I think in a really like a convincing way, but also I think in an appropriate like 2026 way that is weirdly not forced, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's kind of funny about this segment is a lot of my what works is also the rapid fire segment.
Yeah.
In that, in previous weeks, I talked about how one of the concerns from the first season of this show was that you introduce some side characters, but then we didn't really get a chance to really get to know what are they about, what makes them tick, how are they different than a different character. And maybe at the time I wasn't as in agreement with that, but then on reflection, I feel like that's probably a little bit true. And this show, season 2, from the get-go, I've already talked about this with, Cherry in the first episode and then even having an explanation for that he's kind of sidelined physically. And so then he's going to go over here for a little bit. And we talked about that last week with Buck and Heather. And I just want to circle back on that again, because in tiny bits of real estate in the show, like it doesn't take a lot of time. Sometimes it's only 60 seconds, 90 second scene with somebody. I'll just rapid fire some of them. Like Kirsten rules. And we virtually knew nothing about her from the first season. And now I know that she rules. She's hesitant to get involved because of what it means, but still is going to do it because at her core, she believes it's right. She's concerned about Matt. She might even be a little bit on to Matt, but no matter what, she's into this and she's going to do it. Like I learned more about her in a couple scenes. I loved seeing Jack. And if that's the last we see of him, it's still a perfect fit that he basically says like, you know what, I've been locked up. I'm old. Yeah. Like I need to retire, but I'm going to bankroll the whole thing, which is another little practical explanation of, well, where they get money for this stuff. I know. He's basically like, here's the checking account. If you ever need it, just use it, which is cool to me.
I loved that. Yeah.
And he says, crush them. Yeah. He says, crush them both to him as he walks away. I just think it's perfect.
It's one of those things where like, I don't know that I loved the version of Jack that we got last episode, and we talked about that, and it was really fun. I kind of think that it was going to be diminishing returns.
That's right. We always talk about that. It's a perfect balance of that was so sick. We know a lot more about him, and now let him walk away. We don't have to now make a swordsman show. We don't need a swordsman show. We don't need him to be side by side with Matt the rest of the way. It was perfect. We saw him break out. Perfect. He helped a bunch of people, and now he's bankrolling it. For all I know, maybe he's going to go back to other things now. Like he's going to,
if there's a moment later in the show where they're having some kind of standoff and
he helps or whatever, great.
Yeah, like Matt needs every able body. Like
totally agree.
But
That's what
I
that
think
mid-season
was the right
trailer
call.
seemed like it was hinting at, like a Dark Knight Rises kind of thing, where they are going to need
Yeah.
every able body kind of thing. I have no idea if we're getting there. We haven't seen it yet, but so we talked about him. We talked about Kristen again. Mr. Charles for 1 second proving to be a perfect foil to Vincent D'Onofrio's Fisk. Fisk seems so annoyed with him the second he walks in, tries to get the upper hand, then Buck takes the upper hand from him, and it's like this power battle.
Dude, I love.
I don't know where he stands on stuff. It's perfect.
And it just made me think even more about what we said last week about Buck. Like that character is getting more interesting every week, and I love it.
Yep. The fact that
I really didn't know like that was a nice little like twist there. Like I didn't see that moment coming, but it makes sense for both Fisk and Buck.
The fact that we kicked off this whole episode talking about Vanessa, I'm not going to repeat it, but I learned more about Vanessa, and there was some mystery and intrigue there. It wasn't just kind of the same thing. Obviously, Bullseye, right? Like to dive fully into Bullseye's character, what's going on in his mind, and how he thinks he can almost earn penance by doing some good deeds in his mind. Like what's crazy is, how is he any different than Frank now? He's not really. He's helping the old lady. He's like tipping the waitress. He's saying kind things to her, but he's going to kill everyone who is corrupt in his mind, even though he's crazy.
But he like, it doesn't take anything for him to like hold a gun to that woman's head or a knife to her head, throat, whatever it was. But like whenever he has the standoff with Matt, it's like the difference between him and Frank is Frank would never do that. Frank would never, and that's like, does he know that? Like, is he self-aware enough to know that about himself? Or is he's just, I think for Frank, the like protection of the innocent is the end. Like everything else is for that. Whereas I think Bullseye is focused on like this kind of war on Fisk. And everything is for that. And so it's like, because people in the diner could have easily been killed because of him having all those folks come in and he's throwing stuff everywhere and they're shooting everywhere. Like, and
bringing
he doesn't seem to care.
Bringing a dog into a restaurant is unsanitary.
Dude, I just
hold on.
Man.
Almost done. Also, then the last thing I'll just say is, I'm also intrigued by Daniel and BB. It seems like Daniel's onto her.
Yeah.
But again, we only got like 60 seconds with him. But even just the way Daniel's maniacally cheering and BB's like, oh my gosh, this is so jacked up. Again, it doesn't take much time, but I'm into all the characters now.
Do you think he knew about the
I do.
Like,
I think the look was, oh, frick. My girlfriend is the one doing this and I'm going to have to do something about it. I feel like he caught her and then changed the subject. I think that was all I was supposed to pick up from that.
And, I think it's going to be really interesting seeing what happens with that character if we do now get this really dark Fisk turn, because he started this, like he's not like Buck. Like he doesn't have this background killing people.
That's right.
Like he started this as just like a campaign staffer. And
like, what does he really want now?
Yeah. But he's gone dark quickly, or is like, willing to go there. And so if Fisk is now pushing to go even darker, I think that they're setting up some kind of, like, are we going to wind up having some kind of like Daniel, BB, Fisk, Ben Urich analog type moment?
That Daniel has to kill BB?
I mean,
it's possible, which is another thing I love about the show. I don't know what's going to happen, and I would buy it if you told me that happened. If you told me that's going to happen in the last 4 episodes, I'd be like, I do feel like anything can happen here.
Yeah. A
couple more just really quick shout outs. I haven't shouted out the Newton brothers yet with the music. I felt like
I had that here too.
I watched it with these really nice studio headphones on my computer today. And it really stood out to me. Fun little teaser here. We're talking to them next week. So I think after next week's episode, we're going to be talking to the Newton brothers, friends of the pod. They've been on the show a few times, I think. Yeah. They're coming back on, which will be really fun. But it really did the music did a lot of work here. And this is so dumb, but there was one thing that stood out to me. You know how they do the there was a huge moment where they did it on the piano, and I loved it. You know how I love when they change that, like the tone of it. Boom, boom, boom. You know, so shout out them. I feel like they've been doing a great job. Honestly, I really don't have, for me in this case, anything that didn't work. I'm open to hearing what you have. I mean, trust me, on this podcast, we've been doing this since Avengers Endgame. There are segments and there are times where we feel like we need to call something out. Even the first episode of this show, we said something. I personally don't have anything. Oh, and here's the last thing. Just kind of good to see Matt in a church again, praying. That interaction with the priest, or the priest in training, whatever you'd call that, was great. How he was legitimately scared. But then the irony of Matt doing all that in the costume of AVTF. And then, he's doing it in the cop costume, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Here's my last thing. Sorry. I said last thing, and then this is my last thing. There's something that makes my heart so happy. Just seeing Matt so much in the costume and just like confidently leaning from the costume. Listen, the From the Shadow stuff, bro, coach, it's amazing. Amazing. The Hidden Identity stuff, coach, it's amazing. But last year we got so much Matt Murdock time, which was awesome. A lot of trials. We love that. We've had none of that here from Matt. But there's just something fun about him essentially being the leader of like his little Avengers team. There was one shot where Karen is talking to Angela quietly, and she looks over at Matt. He can hear everything. He's listening. And it's just him in his suit, in the broad daylight, in the room. And he just like nods at her like he's still listening. And I got such a good vibe of like, this is the team Matt's putting together. Like, it's not just going to be like, we're following this guy from the shadows. It's also like, here is our leader. And the black suit looks so good that it's like,
it does. Yeah.
I don't know.
And the way
so bought in.
Like Jack kind of emphasizes that,
That's
like
right.
you're not like,
you're an icon now.
You're
a symbol.
It feels, man, I'm gonna have to make you read at least like a couple of issues of this Zdarsky run, because you would love it. But that's sort of a lot of the culmination of that, is you see Matt like inhabit a role that he has not really inhabited through most of the comic history. Like he normally is more the From the Shadows guy, but like he kind of assembles a team, and it is like there's a lot of complexity that comes with that, because he's got his like guilt complex, and he's got his hard lines that he won't cross. And does he bring people along like for all that? Like, does he hold them all to the standard that he holds himself to? And I feel like we're going to see a lot of that play out here.
You called this out last week. It feels like we're getting dangerously close to Batman territory. Like how far are we from somebody like painting a giant D on a building or something?
Right.
Not that far, right?
Man.
Like it feels almost like the bat signal at this point.
Again, man, it will continue to beg the Spider-Man question. But yeah, I'm so happy with like it feels, I'd said this to Candace as we were watching it, like everything I ever wished that the Netflix show would grow into is what this season is. And that's not like a dig on Netflix. It's like season 3 was so great, and then it was canceled for reasons that we've discussed. But I remember thinking like, oh man, but I really like this version of Bullseye. And I feel like they barely got to, like he just got out of the gate, and like we just had this incredible season of Daredevil where we never actually saw him be Daredevil. And it's like all of the stuff that I thought that they were building to. And then season 1 was a great kind of reintroduction and sort of integration within the MCU. But this season feels like they have fun. It feels to me like how people always felt about Wolverine, where it was like they knew that we wanted to just see him wear the yellow suit, and they just wouldn't give it to us for like a quarter of a century. And there's something almost like vindictive about that.
This here is almost more Daredevil suit time than any of the maybe even combined. I mean, not yet, maybe, but
I think season 2 is the only comp.
I was saying more than season 1, 3, and Daredevil Born Again season 1 combined. I bet.
Because even the Defenders, like for the first half of that show, he's wearing the like scarf over his face instead,
which is cool.
So
but this is just cool.
Yeah.
I mean, again, more fighting here, like the batons and him.
It's all
so
like
good. It's so good.
The confrontation with him and Bullseye in that scene, and they're like there are so many layers to all these character relationships now, and that's what I love. Like they've built on the things that were there from the original series. They've built on things that were there from the first season, and they've now introduced additional layers to where every time you have a character talking to another character, we now have this like, oh wait, yeah, I forgot that they know each other from like this, and they've experienced this thing together. And so it's like, it's not just Bullseye and Matt, like, Bullseye wants to kill Fisk and Matt won't let him. It's like Bullseye killed his best friend.
And he's like, don't say his name ever again.
Like, so it's this like but he still saves him from Fisk. It's like it's man.
You wonder
so
if Bullseye hadn't
handled.
killed Foggy specifically, if Matt would have let him try to kill Fisk a little more. Maybe he wouldn't have felt as dire to stopping him, All right, just following up.
Oh, by the way, this is a friend of mine.
I am Groot!
You save the good stuff for special occasions?
So again, this will be a quick segment because I think a lot of times we have more to go on.
Yeah.
My only takeaway on just following up, obviously we know like the Jack tie-in at this point, like
right.
Honestly, at this point, the Netflix stuff is as much of an MCU tie-in because it feels like it's all just kind of canon at this point. My only takeaway is just that this is really escalating, and it's escalating in such a way that I feel like the natural, coming to the head of this is what we've talked about. A larger MCU tie-in coming in, a character, a reference, a Val showing up, a Spider-Man reference. Like it feels like we're just headed to the point where it'll be impossible for somebody like the Thunderbolts to not say something on this or comment on this or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's my only tie-in I can really think of. Like that's how it's affecting the greater MCU is it feels like, and maybe it's also kind of building Matt into a slightly elevated position.
True.
That maybe makes him easier to be a piece that moves to one of these other projects. Is that fair? Like this version of Matt, especially with the way they're playing with his senses and stuff, I'm kind of starting to think like, why couldn't he be right alongside like Bucky?
They do a good, it does elevate him as kind of this like mythic figure within New York now. But again, in a way that like.
For sure on Yelena's level, like power level.
Yeah, well, and I would say like, it's sort of what like the Raimi films did with Spider-Man there, where he's the kind of like embodiment of the city. I feel like we've never really gotten that version of Spider-Man in the MCU from Tom Holland. Now it looks like we're getting more of that in Brand New Day, but I think that he's kind of getting closer to like an A-lister within the MCU because of how much of a, like, in a way, how much Fisk has made him this like celebrity by like blaming everything on him and making him the kind of focal point of a lot of the vigilante stuff. But yeah, I had the same, like, I mean, the Mr. Charles scene, I was just glad to see him come back because I don't think we've seen him since episode 1.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And it was a great scene. And it was kind of a reminder that there are some like other forces at play. I liked the Bullseye, like Frank Castle reference.
Even just bringing up his name again, like that's a good way to explain why he's not here. He just keeps saying his name all the time without him ever actually being there.
And this is not really like a wider MCU thing, but I do think it's maybe a thread to keep an eye on. Cole North, we didn't talk about this last episode, but he's back. Like there was a question whether he survived the finale of season 1.
That's right.
And I
remember you talking about that.
Well, I just thought it would be such a strange thing to include that character at all and then just kill him off without him really doing anything particularly memorable.
Right.
And so now he's back. And, like in the comics, he starts out like he's never a crooked cop. If anything, he's kind of the opposite. Like he's so intense about like the kind of ethical piece that he is hated within the department for taking down crooked cops.
Well, he's crooked here. He's not chiming in with this junky stuff going on.
And that's the interesting thing though. He like begs to be put back on the task force, which I just immediately assume is him wanting to kind of like take it down from the inside. But so far we haven't seen any sign of that. So I'm reading a lot into this because of who I know the character is from the comics. But I am like, even aside from that, there's a reason why they brought him back. Like we had that whole scene of him like, I want to come back in and showing the facial scars and all that stuff. So I'm just curious what their plans are. And is he going to wind up as part of Matt's army by the end of the season?
Could be laying the groundwork for season 3 otherwise as well.
Yeah.
We're through 4 episodes, but just as a reminder, the Vanessa thing stole the show here. We still haven't, obviously we need follow-up from Fisk and how he's going to go off the rails here. We haven't had much follow-up from Cole North. We haven't seen what's going to happen to Heather. We don't know how this is going to play out with Kirsten still. Yeah. We don't know is this showdown between Matt and Bullseye ever going to happen as far as one of them takes the other one down, or does Bullseye join the team to some degree? We still don't know if when and if Kristen Ritter's Jessica Jones is going to show up. Is Luke Cage going to show up because of that? Like, what is this battle we're leading toward? How is the governor going to respond now that Vanessa is dead as well? So, like, that's just off the top of my head. Yeah. 10 things they can still be working towards here. So I'm really excited to see kind of where that goes.
Yes! Hey, we know each other. He's a friend from work.
So this week, it's not even a question, but I feel like it just ties our conversation perfectly together. Tom, a patron, another friends from work with benefits supporter. Tom says this, and I just thought you'd appreciate this. This is how I started the whole episode. My one comment on episode 4 is, and this is totally meant as a compliment, that was as close to a live action comic as I've ever seen in any MCU production. So much of what went on in that episode seemed to be designed, blocked, shot, and executed in such a way that its storyboards might as well have been a graphic novel. In my opinion, the episode was unparalleled in that aspect.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't read a lot of Daredevil comics. We did go over one of those comics. And I feel like that is kind of true. Like we've been saying all episodes, so we don't have to beat this to death, but it's like, if you like Daredevil, who's a character from a comic book, if you like that, how could you not enjoy seeing this adaptation on screen? It's remarkable. And it reminds me of kind of the conversation we had with Loki, season 2 specifically, with WandaVision. But honestly, I'd even toss out like with Moon Knight and with She-Hulk. When I say this, don't take it the wrong way. When I say this, what they are trying to do, they are doing it about as well as you could ever ask anyone to do it. Like, if HBO had this series, I don't think it looks any different.
Right.
It now feels like this is amongst all the shows you're looking forward to. And it feels like it is an adaptation of exactly, like you could take that book right behind you and go like, this is what it looks like. And then this is what it looks like on screen.
No, I think that is right. I think Fisk is the best example of that in this season, where they've done such a great job of making him he's the scary guy that can manipulate. And like season 3 was such a masterclass in showing how he goes from being this like hated, incarcerated villain to having a penthouse and controlling everyone. But I think it's a harder thing to do, especially in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now, like where we have the Hulk, to make Fisk as just a physical presence a scary thing. But they've done such a good job of that here, and part of that is that it's like the blocking and the framing here, where it's like you can almost imagine like a comic panel where he's like punching someone and you see like the blood splatters like on his face and you don't even see the person. Like the way that they're leaning into the kind of ferocity of him, where like we talked about this,
and the screaming he always does.
Well, last season we talked about the kind of warm up thing where he, throws the guy into the mirror, and here
last episode,
yeah, where like the moment that he gets distracted and looks at Vanessa and the guy like got a hit on him.
That's right.
Like
very similar to the parallel of Daredevil in the first episode too, with Foggy's heartbeat,
Yeah. And but I told Candace like, oh man, that's not going to be good. And I loved how it was handled, because you see the mask like come fully off. Like whatever version of him is like Mayor Fisk. Like for a moment, he is just like fully like the Kingpin, and is just like fine with murdering that guy in front of the entire room.
Such a good call out, because he sees the other guy and it starts turning into I'm just going to kill this guy. Like almost no ramifications. This is an illegal murder. Yeah.
And you see the guy that's just like you see the kind of fear in his eyes, and it's like he's the professional boxer and this is just the mayor. And now it's like, but I like you talked earlier about like BB's reaction like next to Daniel, and I think that was such a great way of showing like, I mean, a lot of the crowd was disturbed by like the sound that it made when he like hit that guy in the ribs and like how hard he hits the ground. And you just get this sense that like he's like a terrifying human.
In the opening mission of Spider-Man PS5, you take down Wilson Fisk's tower, including a fight against Fisk to kick off the whole game. And that's what this feels like. It's the brute strength. Honestly, even from Into the Spider-Verse 2, it's the brute strength with the grunting and like the very like animalistic stuff, but reminding you that he is still very, very strong. I mean, so strong that a punch can kill you or knock you back in the case of like Kate Bishop, etc.
Or, he can just crush your skull in his hands.
With his bare hands. So, yeah, it's so good.
You're back, Yerma. Went forward in time.
Wait, was I not supposed to watch it already?
To view alternate futures, to see all the possible outcomes of the coming conflict.
Okay, cut it out. You're fired.
Man. I've been so torn because I have in mind your framework from the first episode.
That's right. That's why I'm letting you go first this time.
I know.
He knows.
I know. I think
I went linear so far, didn't I? Like B-, then B, then B+. I think is what I did thus far.
I know, and that's the other thing is like I don't want to be predictable here, but I think A- feels right to me.
Yeah, I think we're going up one more notch. I agree.
I ended almost so happy.
Yes, so did I. Well, happy and crazy.
Yeah, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
Well,
happy with the show.
I think like the way I would describe it is like, we've been doing this now for as long as Disney Plus has been putting out episodes, and there is a level of like identification with Marvel that comes from having done a Marvel Studios podcast for as long as we have, where when Marvel does something, it's sort of it's a bummer when I feel like there's some level of me having to defend it. Like when I'm kind of like, even totally if I'm not like a fan of that specific thing, there's just this level of like, okay, here we go. I have to like, but I love the feeling of watching something and I'm so in it that one that like that's not even on. Like that filter is like
that's 100%
turned
right
off
too.
entirely.
The last 15 minutes of this episode, I wasn't thinking like, what am I going to have to say about this? Like, you know.
And then secondly, like whenever I did kind of start thinking in that mode again, like I can't. This is just like a dream Marvel TV scenario for me. So I think it is a fair. I still want to be like judicious about how we give out our A's, but I think that we are. I think that we're being judicious. I think that this is a really excellent episode in the history of like Marvel Disney Plus stuff.
I thought about this a lot because, you know, I set this up with my scale in episode 1. I thought, what are the times I would have done that? And I think there are times that, like, couple of those episodes of Miss Marvel, I probably would have given a D+ if we had this scale.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a real thing. I probably would. Like, everything is not just going to be a B+ for me. So
right.
It just so happens that we started this scale during a show that I think is now one of the most consistent. Because that's the thing about WandaVision and Loki, is that I would argue that it's one of the best projects they've ever made, regardless if it's TV or film. So like those two are the shows where you go, okay, those are on the category of their top movies to me as well. And so this feels like same thing. Like this is now kind of tier 1, but I don't really have any qualms. So middle of tier 1, I'm also going to say A- and just leave the room that there's an episode that could blow me away and give me a little MCU tie-in. And that's just a preference. Yeah. That's just a preference.
Yeah.
But like if everything happened here and then Spider-Man swung in, I would be like, okay, now we're but as far as like a filmmaking perspective goes, there's not a single like the visual, they've cleaned up the visual aspect so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was still good as I've defended other Disney Plus series, but there's just not a single second of like, oh, that's CGI'd to me, which is remarkable.
No, I just keep coming back to what I said last week about like even recognizing that the Newton brothers are not directing these episodes, but this is why I was so excited when they were first attached to season 1, because I was so impressed with the consistency and like the visuals for Loki season 2, which just like
I watched
it not long ago.
You said Newton brothers, but I think you're meaning Moorhead and Benson.
You're right.
But I am excited about the Newton brothers being attached to it
also
too.
That. That's funny. Well, it's funny because I was in my head thinking, man, I'm excited to talk to the Newton brothers because I also wanted to talk to them about what they're doing for X-97.
And then I was thinking, are they attached to the visual style of this too? Like, are they chiming in on...
Hey, maybe. We'll have to ask them. No, you're right. Not the Newton brothers, not the Rousseau brothers, but Benson and Moorhead.
Who are not brothers, right?
Who are not brothers, as far as I know. But maybe like spiritually.
Different names. Yeah. Brother from another mother.
They have just this is it. Like I think season 1, we always felt like there was going to be a little bit of a Frankenstein element to it, just because of the way that it was made, where they were going in a direction and then pivoted. And I still think that I loved season 1. A lot of our listeners loved season 1. It like cleaned up in our friendly awards, but I just think this is like what I was hoping for, and so. Yeah, I mean, Loki season 2, I think is I think you and I would say is maybe the most consistent kind of like excellent, like production value wise show we've gotten up until now. So I think it makes sense.
Where I want listeners to track with my scale, I want them to get to know me specifically, is anytime I'm doing a ranking, there are still preferences built in. So like, for example, if I'm doing a golf course, there's only so high a golf course can score if it's not on a body of water. Like the best inland golf course still isn't, in my preference, going to compare to an on the ocean golf course. You know what I'm saying? So like
Right.
if I am grading an inland course and I give it a 9.0, you as a listener should know, oh my gosh, that must be the most special course ever because it's not even on an ocean and it got a 9.0. And it's kind of like, I don't love kind of like Neapolitan style pizza. And so it's hard for me to give any Neapolitan style pizza a 9.0.
Fair.
It's like, I want it to be one of the other styles. And so if I give a Neapolitan style like 8.2, you better think that's an incredible Neapolitan. And so my final thing is there's a little bit of that in the MCU for me with the grounded stuff. I think I've told you this. I a little bit like this to me is the best possible version of a grounded show. But going like as high as 94 is as high as I can go for a grounded show. Just because I think I still prefer like the Nolan mind-bendy sci-fi, like trippy, or also like even a little more like Galactic Avengers Thor. If I had to, I think I prefer a little more fantastical. But again, that's not, I'm just saying this is the best possible version of a grounded show. You can't do it better than they're doing it right now.
No, I think that's right. I think that's right. And fair. Man.
Okay. What a week.
What a week. I'm excited for next week. There's buzz about it. Like I've said before, Greg, who wrote our full season spoiler-free review that you can find is all about episode 5. He's been hyping it up, so I'm curious what's coming. We did get the Jessica Jones peek in that trailer we referenced earlier. I don't know if that's coming next episode or down the line, but man, yeah, there's so much more that they could do, and they're like, I don't know. Like what I love is I could see it going so many different directions, and even if they don't introduce anything else, there's already plenty of stuff I'm super invested in. So I'm ending this week like as happy as I could be, and I love being in a position where I cannot wait until next Tuesday.
I wholeheartedly agree. On the Friends from Work front, I'll close you out with a bunch of details. I'll be back at my studio, so I think the episode should be back to regular timing next week, although give us a little bit more time than normal because we are talking to the Newton brothers, so that will be really fun. Be on the lookout for that. I just put out a Kyle Listened episode on Friends from Work Plus where I talked about Jessica Jones season 1 with Neil.
I need to listen to that.
It's really current because we're going to get Jessica Jones here any second. But also what's really important in that is I told Neil, I'm like, look, I'm not going to have time or the interest to watch season 2 and 3, which I've heard is a drop in quality. And so at the back half of that episode on Friends from Work Plus, he took me through season 2 and 3 and what happened, including talking about, spoilers here for a second, if you don't want any spoilers for Jessica Jones, her having a child. And then in that trailer, they talked about that. So really timely with that episode. Subscribe to Friends from Work Plus. It's $8 a month. It supports this podcast, and you can listen to that episode. And then I also got to say, this week or next week, another Kyle Listen episode is Agent Carter, which Neil, I already listened to and edited, and then went and watched all of Agent Carter. So this is Neil recommending Agent Carter, and then I did go watch it. So if you are interested in that, you'll have another month to watch that show, and then we'll probably do a Kyle Listened episode on Agent Carter around that time this is ending. So again, just consider Friends from Work Plus.
Yep.
And I think that's about it. I think we'll be kind of back to normal after that.
We've
and
also
Robbie's
got
life is calming down a little bit too, so that's good.
Yeah, which is nice. If you're just finding the show, we have a bunch of like a backlog episodes going through Daredevil that you can find on Friends from Work Plus and a collection, the Netflix series. And we have, like Kyle said earlier, a kind of Marvel Comics 101 series that we are going through currently. And we read through Daredevil Born Again. So you should go check that out if you have ever been curious about the Daredevil comics. But there's a bunch of fun stuff there. And yeah, this is a nice time to check that out.
That's a good call out. We probably have a backlog of maybe 20-ish Daredevil episodes, and then probably 50 different comic book episodes over the years. So if you're into comics more than we talk about on this podcast, that's another spot you can find a lot of them. All different kinds of comics at this point, honestly, including last week you and Tanner and Greg picking some comics for people to
including Devil's Reign, which Tanner talked about a little bit. So
there you go. This has been so much fun. I'm truly enjoying this journey again, Rob. Thanks to you. Thanks to our listeners for listening, and we'll see you next time here on Friends from Work.